And welcome to Happy Fun Pornography Time. We are here with special guest, our good friend, Josh, aka
Hello.
Nomai. How are you doing today?
Hello. Good, buddy. How are you? It's nice to be on the show.
Yeah,
Finally.
yeah, yeah, man. It's
All this time.
we've just been wanting to do this episode the entire time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm under the impression that that's what this whole thing was about. Was just to have the three of us on this show together.
Yeah, just to get a chance to talk to. Like, we're probably not even gonna do the front side one next week. We're just gonna
it's
call
over.
it after
Like
that.
I mean, after
Yeah.
this, it's like we've accomplished everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this entire we created this as a ruse to get you in a conversation with us. So this is the
Yeah.
official end of the Happy Fun Music Time show.
That's good. Wow. I feel great to be a part of the plot twist on this one, guys. So I appreciate you having me on here.
You are the climax to go with the pornography time from the beginning.
That's true. That's
Oh, yeah.
true.
Just a note to our viewers: we're all
appreciate that.
actually recording this naked, but it's an audio-only podcast.
Yes, we did confirm that earlier.
Yeah,
I recorded every episode naked, so there's really no distinction there for me.
I don't even doubt it. Like he's claimed that before, done it on
Yeah.
more than one occasion, I think.
it's good
Well,
imagery.
I think like the podcast should be as natural as possible. That's why I never take any notes or prepare anything ever. And so you got to be as close to your wild wilderness inner self as you possibly can. So no notes and no clothes.
Yo, but how do you run an interview with a band like that you've never like heard of?
You know
How,
what?
how do you do that?
You generally start by talking about your penis, and then the conversation just flows from there.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fair.
you just started off by making everything about yourself, and then it kind of it works itself out from there.
That's good interviewership, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
like we're on
I
episode
appreciate
16.
that. I
Like
appreciate that.
we've got this down to an art. But for real though, you got Nomai going on. You have your whole website built up. You got social media everywhere. And you have a fuck ton of beats on here, and that's pretty awesome.
sir.
So what made you decide to get into sort of like making beats and licensing your music?
Okay. So, a while back, like quarantine 1 happened, right? And I was bored and I was just demoing stuff, and like I used to demo like exclusively on Reaper. And for those who don't know what Reaper is like it is a program that you make music on. Excuse me. So, I ended up like really kind of wanting to like start experimenting with like electronic stuff. So I ended up buying like a copy of FL Studio, which is a different piece of software that you make music on, but it's more specialized in like making beats and like making drum patterns and like playing with synths and MIDI and like digital keyboards and stuff. So like one thing kind of led to another, and my friend just like jokingly asked me if I was going to start making hip hop beats, and I was like, oh, like haha, like probably not, like that's not my thing. And then he was like, well, why not? And I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, he's like, you listen to hip hop like more than anyone, like why not get into it? And then I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, let me kind of try whatever, like. And then like I started doing it, and then I ended up like making one beat that I actually still sell called Kisaki. And that was the first
Oh, hey, you cut off a little bit.
that I don't think that I'm that. Oh, sorry. Like, I ended up making a beat that is still like I still sell.
Yeah.
But I made it, and it made me feel that I knew that I could do this. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I was like, oh shit, like this is actually pretty good. Like, I've never done this genre before, but I actually think like if I keep going with this, like I don't think I'm that bad at it.
Yeah.
And then I started to learn about the business and how it's not just like one or two guys making like a living off of selling just strictly beats or whatever. It's like if you want it, you get it.
Yeah, there's a
Like-
big demand for it.
Huge demand.
Yeah.
For like the services that like even that we provide, right? Like as a drummer, like a guitar player, and then like as a guitar player, like it's like guys that play instruments is something that's not commonplace either. in this like whole realm of music. So the fact that even that like I can play guitar and like I can go and like record little riffs and then send them around the world. Like I have songs out in California with guys.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Wow.
So you have knowledge of theory.
We should say, for those who don't know, Josh played with Krusty and myself, like has played in multiple bands with us, so we all know each other.
Alex and I are still in a band.
I still play in a band with Josh, which is the greatest band of all time, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point in this interview. But I should just mention, so we played in a band called Gatling, which then became a band called Kill No Albatross. I just want to set that up for people who don't know what we're talking about.
If we ever get into that, but yeah.
Oh, we will. It's already been mentioned in passing. So that's the history between the three of us. But yeah, no, this Nomai stuff is actually really good that you're doing. And the question I want to ask you about actually is, like, among the people who you've worked with, who are some of the standouts? You've worked with Flosis, who is another guy who I know. Like, who are and Gloomy, of course, who you have some material coming out with. So who are some of the standouts who you've worked with or you're going to work with in the future?
I can think of it, like, obviously, like, everybody. I love everybody, but the guys that are standouts to me are Krusty. So one of these guys is called Mer Hip Hop, who's actually one of our old bass players' brothers. It's Ali's brother, if you know who that is.
Oh, I remember Ali's older brother.
Yeah. If you remember Ali, yeah. So Mer Hip Hop is a standout for me. Like my track with him is something like I still listen to, and then Gloomy for sure. Like all the music that I've made with him, like I get really excited about.
What's Mer's actual name?
It's like Omar.
Omar, I remember because I heard some of Omar's stuff back crazy. A while back. Yeah, he's been doing like pretty sick music for a long time. Like I imagine he's changed genres, but it's still dope. Like
because he used to be like in a prog metal band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Ali, for those who don't know, Ali was the bass player in Gatling for about 30 seconds in 2015.
Shout out to Ali Badawi.
Yeah, shout out to Ali Badawi, who may very well, he's messaged me on Instagram a couple times, so he
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we should have him on the show.
Yeah, I would do an interview with Ali.
Yeah. Treat this less like an interview, more as like an informal conversation.
It's pretty much what a lot of the episodes are.
You remember that guy? Like,
Hi, I am William Hahn. A new album is called A New Album. I want to thank you for being part of this year. To record my third album is indeed a pleasure to share my music with all my fans across the world. I hope you all enjoy it. Finally, I hope you all can experience the world. Summer is a time for fun and enjoyment. My favorite things about summer are hanging out with friends and family and enjoying the nice weather. I hope you have lots of fun and great memories with this summer in the sun.
That whole section needs to be removed immediately from this podcast.
Well, I was actually gonna ask Josh. I've been trying to like sample people's music like in the episode. You mentioned your song Kisaki. Could I just like play that song over the whole segment after?
For fun and enjoyment.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that'll be like the censorship. Okay, I'll play like a clip from it so people can hear it too, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right.
You guys get free passes to use all my music if you need it. Go for it. Like, I don't care.
As a producer of beats, right? Like, here's another question for you. What is the biggest difference between playing in a band, recording guitar, like being the guitar player in a rock band, right? And then producing hip hop? Like, what are some of the big differences you've noticed in the two roles?
I mean, it's like fundamentally different. Like, Especially in beat making, in my opinion, it's a big math. Like every beat is basically the same. Like there's a 4-bar intro, there's like an 8-bar pre-chorus and like a 16-bar chorus. Like it's pretty formulaic. So literally that it's like you're getting like a piece of music, like technically, like typically, like you're sampling someone else. Like there's this whole concept of loops in the producing community where guys will like make their own melodies then send them out. So I'll use like melodies from other guys or I'll make my own, and then I literally just structure it how it typically goes, and then the math of the drums is pretty well, like it's laid out for you. Like if you look into drill music, like drill hip hop, there's a very big math as to when like the snares come in, and even with trap, like where the kicks land and stuff like that. Like it's very, very like this is basically how it should be, and then like going from beat to beat to beat, there's variation. Whereas in like obviously what we do, like at least in Rolodex, like I have to like I'm constantly coming up with like, okay, like what do I want this part to sound like, whether it's like screaming babies or fireworks or
Yeah.
and it's also like a much more collaborative process like in a band, like whereas obviously with beat making, like the bass and the drums is literally like one aspect to me. Like it's just the 808, right, which is part of the drums,
So they always go
and then the
hand in
melody
hand.
is done. Yeah, it's very simplistic.
So like a lot of
I will
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, like the drill stuff,
No.
like it's pretty like it's rhythmically set in stone is what you're saying. Like
basically
Yeah.
like a typical drill song is dotted eighth notes on the hi-hats, and then snare on the 3 on bar 1, and then in bar 2 it's on the 4, and then so kick on the 1 in the first bar, and then there's like more kick patterns that's kind of like up to you, like closer to the 4 in the second beat, in the second bar. And so it's all kind of like that, like where kicks land, where 808s land. Like it's such a math, it's almost comical. But it's what you do, I guess, in the realm of those confines that makes you different from someone else.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of people like in producing that aren't musicians, that are guys that just go on these websites like Splice, where you can go and like buy sounds and things like that, and guys have created these melodies and whatnot. You can literally program music.
yeah, they're buying
That doesn't
loops,
necess-
right? Like
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, make them musicians. Like you can go and you can produce music, and that's like one whole thing, but like to actually have that ear for it is something completely different. And I found a lot of the time in producing, especially with young guys, that they might not necessarily maybe this is the wrong way to say it, but they might not necessarily be getting into producing for the right reasons, because they see what it is from guys like Metro Boomin and Wheezy and like these big names that like people can recognize, like household names, and maybe they think it's more akin to like being a rapper.
it's romanticized
Yeah.
instead of it being about the journey and like the creation kind of. Yeah.
And like actually like the artistic melody behind it, and like what you bring to the table, what you're trying to do different. There's
Yeah,
a lot of like people that are idolized in the producer community that a lot of people try and copycat.
Oh yeah, if you're just doing Metro Boomin rip-offs, like it's gonna be tough. For
No,
you
it
to...
ain't even that, yo. It ain't even that now. It's like Juice World. Like if you guys know who Internet Money is, or Nick Mira.
I know Juice
Taz
WRLD, but I
Taylor.
don't know those guys.
So Juice World, Triple X Tentacion, some of Trippy Red stuff. They were all produced. A lot of it was produced by this guy Nick Mira,
Okay.
and he has like a really specific sound. It's very like kind of like upbeat and poppy and shit with like big 808s, whatever. Point being is that his style kind of took off. He is kind of like this Internet Money group is kind of really where guitar beats started to come from. Like if you guys have, like, I don't know, Crossy, if you've heard like that track Lemonade by Don Tolliver.
Oh, I've heard it like once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Don
that's-
Tolliver. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Lemonade by Gob.
Oh fuck. No, dude, no. It's like it was like the number one rap song, or the number one song in the world for like a couple weeks, I'm pretty sure.
But I know, like,
But,
I know those three guys. Like, it's sort of, it is guitar based. It's sort of like has a sad boy element to it, that kind of thing. Like, I know what you're barking up.
Like the kind of like the funk guitar sort of thing. Like that group that made the beat to that track is Internet Money.
All right.
And they're like, revered in the community. And so a lot of guys will go out of their way to try and copy their exact style. But it's apparently what's selling right now, right? So that's Internet Money's logic, is they're just like, well, this is a business. And we're doing this as a business.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But it's so how do you look at it? Like, when you are making these beats, is this a musical endeavor for you? Is this a business endeavor? Is it do you think you can synthesize those two things? I mean, how do you look at it?
It's both. I'm under the impression now that anything that, like, everyone that you've met that's like a crazy fucking mind-blowing musician, that's like, wow, I don't know why that guy's bigger. It's because he's a shit fucking marketer. And that's why everyone who's amazing doesn't make it. Because of it is, in my opinion, because of bad marketing. Because there's a market for everything. If there's a market for bands like Swans and a market for girls like Alex, the girl.
Linga Ignata.
Linga Ignata. There's a market for Linga Ignata. There's a market for fucking anything. So if there's a market for absolutely whatever, there's a market for my melodic taste in music. I don't control, or I don't actually
Oh, you've cut out there for a second, buddy. Hello.
Okay. So here, let me go back. Okay,
all right, so I'm recording now.
Okay, so okay, sorry, I got to get back on that train of thought. But basically, I've realized that I can't control what comes out, like what I make.
Yeah.
And I've learned from like doing all my research into marketing that there is a market for any kind of music. If there's a market for bands like Swans and weird noise rock bands and whatever the hell people listen to, then there's a market for the kind of music that I create. And as I was kind of saying, but like, it's working for me. Like, I don't actually try to emulate anybody or try to create something. I literally just make whatever the fuck that I think sounds good. Genre-fy it, if you will, with this whole type beat phenomenon and calling it like like, you know, Playboy Cardi type beat or Tyler the Creator type beat or whatever the hell I do, and then going from there. And it's been working. So I can't I can't really, like, I don't know, I'm not gonna like go and like start to try to be something I'm not, because everyone that is making it also like in their vlogs, whatever information that they post, they're just like, you just need to be yourself, like all in kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
and I don't know, I feel like the beat typing, that's almost like that's more like producer shorthand to me, to do what you're saying, like to sort of help market themselves, than like actually putting labels on your music. I feel like it's more of a business thing. So I don't think you're like pigeonholing yourself or anything at all.
No. I'm kind of dabbling in the idea right now that as a brand, like Nomai as a brand should have one style of music. There's a lot of producers that have that, where they just kind of like make beats for one person, if you will. Like, there's a guy I follow named he goes by Ent, Netuh, weird pronunciation, but he like exclusively makes like dark trap shit, like for Suicide Boys or Night Lavelle, or like really like kind of like evil sounding trap music. And then there's other guys like GC or something that exclusively make like pop beats for like fucking Katy Perry or something.
Yeah.
But like you go on their profile and like you don't find the ignorant trap banger. Like it's all exclusively this one style of music. So it's like if you as an artist, you as a rapper or whatever, are looking for an instrumental, like you're gonna go and think of like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to this person for this, I'm gonna go to this person for that, because this is the kind of vibe that I'm looking for on this particular song. It's fucking weird how rappers work. Yo.
So you're, just so I understand, like you think if you're a rapper, you're an artist out there, you would want to go for the specialist in one style instead of like a jack of all trades.
Well, that's what these businesses, if you will, like these big brands like this, your guys aren't going to know these names, but the bigger names are like Ooh Boy, Jackpot, Lifestyle did it, like all these like kind of like smaller producers, but like that still do well for themselves, but they all kind of specialize in one sort of sound, whether it's like, oh, like I almost exclusively make Drake type beats, or I'm almost all of my beats have a fucking flute in them, like that sort of stuff. Seriously, it's like a thing.
That's amazing.
And like, and they'll go and they'll like genre-ify their music with this whole type beat thing, but like a lot of the time too, it'll be the exact same artist, like over and over and over again, like Jaden Smith type beat over and over and over and over again. And if you're looking for a beat that's kind of similar to like what this person sounds like, then they go on this. And like if you really want to get into it, like it's kind of fucking annoying that everyone just is trying to like sound like each other, but I guess it is what it is. Like, well, I don't know.
It's reminding me of like restaurants. So if you are a restaurant, or it's easier to market yourself as an Italian or a Chinese or a pizza place or something. People know what to expect when they go there. They can plan around a visit to you versus being some like a restaurant that serves everything. I mean, that is inherently more difficult to market and find an audience because you don't have one specific target. But that gets at what I was asking you earlier. I mean, if you decide to go that route with Nomai and you become whatever your kind of, if you settle into a niche, do you worry that you might be maybe sapping your potential or something like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Does that make any does that make business sense to you, and that kind of offsets maybe the artistic limitations you would set upon yourself?
Okay. This is a bit of a long-winded answer. I am actually probably not worried for the reason that you might think. If I got my name out there and blew the brand up, I would theoretically have contacts that I wouldn't actually be using the beats that I've made for my channel on. I would be sitting there in the room with them, creating with the person.
Oh, okay.
So that's what kind of like what that opportunity would kind of look like. But my worry is that if I were to pigeonhole myself, could I keep up with that particular demand?
Right.
For example, when I touch the keyboard, right? Like when I actually touch my keyboard and fucking start not sampling, but like using synths, it comes out heavy.
Yeah.
When I touch the guitar, it sounds like it's depressing. But I've realized I hate working with my own guitar loops. Like I know other guys do, but I have a difficult time doing the math behind them, if you will, or like arranging them in a certain way. So I worry that if a certain style were to take off for me, would I be able to keep making that over and over and over again? Because you have to put these out. You have to put these out on a day-to-day basis, and I haven't been.
Okay.
You literally have to put one out 365 days a year. Bang, 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 bang. So it's like, how do you keep up with that demand in order to and like with that specific style?
Yeah, you can't like do a 180 if you aren't inspired in that specific way every day out of the year, kind of deal.
Yeah. And then so the other issue too, that I have a guy that I work with behind the scenes that I met in college. His name's Tyler, but he goes by Rogi Beats because his last name's Pirog, and he just whatever.
Yeah.
So he actually started making music like this with me. Like he bought FL with me. He was like, "Oh, I kind of want to get into this. This sounds like fun." And then so one thing kind of led to another. He doesn't actually make the beats, but a lot of the times, like recently, more often than not, he's been making my melody, like my loops, like the strings and the guitar or whatever, like the background music. And he has a very specific style.
Okay.
And so we're kind of worried that if that were to ever take off, like at least for my personal business, I'm almost reliant on this kid to make music for me. Right? Like how weird is that? Like,
well, you're in a band.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
and then
kinda,
he was
yeah.
saying that too. He's like, we're technically like in a band together. I'm like, I guess, but like, fuck, I don't want to. Like, my whole purpose with Nomai too, and this sounds very like, no offense to you guys, no offense to anybody, but I couldn't wait on anybody anymore. Like, me and Gloomy got a song done in 24 hours, full track done, mixed, mastered, done, ready to put out. We put it on Spotify,
Yeah.
24 hours. And you
Yeah.
can put it in a playlist. Sounds just as good as every other track. Like, that's fucking mind blowing to me. That like I can write something on my guitar, send it to a guy in a loop pack, and a month later get a full fucking mastered track back of the guy just going hard on the beat. Like, what? You don't get that in rock.
Yeah, the turnaround
You get
time's
guys
quick.
waiting for fucking recording studios. Like, no, like that's what we wanted. Like, that's what, like, okay, so Rolodex Darko, for frame of reference, like we recorded in a recording studio, but that's what we wanted because we know what we were getting.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of bands that will go to recording studios, wait, and then fucking sample the drums anyway. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like,
Well, because that's what everyone else is doing, and
it's archaic.
right?
Yeah, it's archaic. It's
Expensive.
fun. So I wanted to move at a breakneck pace. I've written more music in the last year than I have in the last like 6 years combined. It's wild.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I love it.
Well, that is an advantage to, like you've said before too, that it's an advantage to kind of like this style, like the expediency of it, the ability to produce it very quickly. It's mostly electronic. You can exchange the files. There's not a whole lot like like you said, you don't need to rely on kind of studios or outside people. You can get it done really quickly, and if you can be fulfilled by doing that, I mean that's great. And maybe that's a reason why, I don't know this, but that could be a reason. In fact, I bet it is a reason why this style has taken off so much, right? Hip hop and more electronic music, because it is so easy to make. And as younger generations grow older, they become the influencers for those coming up beneath them.
Yeah.
And so if the music they're creating, like you and Gloomy and all these people, is this style, because of the ease of creating it, of course it's going to become the dominant kind of trend.
The younger
so yeah,
generation
no,
also doesn't care. Like, have either of you guys heard 100 Gex?
Yeah, I listened to that album.
Fucking wild, eh? Like, that's the most wild music I've ever fucking heard in my life.
Yeah,
And the younger generation love it.
Yeah.
But they also don't care. Like, I've watched videos of that guy Nick Mira. Like, I've watched him talk about how he mixes his beats, and for a long time I would spend days mixing my beats, like figuring out, oh, like I better gain stage it and pull like the fucking, I better make sure that a certain 808 was coming in at this volume and do this, do that, and like following all these formulas. And then I watch Buddy, okay, here's how I mix my beats. He puts them all in the fucking fader, he levels them, and he fucking cranks a limiter to the point where it's clipping. which is basically he's making it so loud that the digital like fucking processor or whatever is putting like white noise and shit in the fucking song because it's so loud. And he's like, yo, like people don't fucking care. He's
So
like,
people-
half the time we get in a fucking session, I send the guy this track right here, he records to it, they mix master it, put it out, done, and it does 24 million plays. What the fuck? Like guys nowadays don't care about the sound quality music, which to me is like, I'm sure to like me and like Krusty, like that's terrible.
It is.
I care so much about what my
It is
music
shocking.
sounds like So,
And
but
I
they
mean,
don't care.
I'm not too picky. Like I listened to that, but I listened to 1,000 Gex. Like I can't say I was a fan.
No,
And,
but it is what it is, right? Like,
yeah, but
and that's what the kids are listening to.
what else was I listening to?
Yeah.
Because I try to not become like a bitter old man. Like music was better in my day, etc., etc. I was throwing on some Mario Judah the other day.
Mario Judah's sick, dude.
But did
Mario
you hear?
Judah's so sick.
Did you hear one of his singles? But the production was so bad. I Cannot Love You. The bass like just sounded like a fucking wet fart, and it just like, they just put that out
when
there.
he does that. Yeah, no, I'm not like, I didn't really check out like too much of his older stuff before I followed the whole like Playboy Cardi saga.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about that?
He put out a
I
whole
do
lot
not.
of red, and some people think it's bad. That's the extent of what I know. But
No, okay, this was fucking hilarious. Okay, so this guy is like, so Playboy Cardi, to preface this, hadn't put out an album in like 2 years. And a lot of fans of his, like, I don't really listen to Playboy Cardi, whatever, but like a lot of his fans like wanted him to put out a new record, which he'd been teasing for a while, called Whole Lot of Red. So about like 2 months before it came out, or a month before it came out, this guy Mario Judah, who'd kind of made a name for himself, like basically playing like,
his meme song before that,
no, like it wasn't even really like, he didn't, I don't think he intended it for it to be a meme song, but it was basically like he's singing like a rocker over like trap beats. And that was something I wanted to say earlier, is that like music nowadays, lines are starting to get blurred because guys don't care. Like, why the fuck am I gonna wait? Like, why the fuck is a kid gonna wait to like get in the studio to record with a band and have a guy play live drums only to have them sampled with the same program that he fucking pirated? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's kind of no point to these kids anymore. So there's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play guitar, and if I want drums on it, I'm just gonna throw like the new fucking Nick Mira kit on it, and good enough. Fuck, and then I'll sing over it, and if people like my fucking vocals, maybe I'll blow up. Fuck. Okay, now I'm off topic, but like Mario Judah, like, so what he ended up doing was he went on like Twitter and was just like, he basically was just like, Playboy Cardi, if you don't drop Whole Lot of Red in a month or something like that, he's like, I'm gonna drop it for you. And people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? So this man went on IG Live, continued the rant, and was just like, Playboy Cardi, like, if you don't, like, started like threatening this man, just like, if you don't fucking drop Whole Lot of Red, I'm gonna drop it for you. And you think this is a fucking joke? And he plays one of the songs, and it sounds like something Playboy Cardi would make. And Playboy Cardi is like a very unique rapper in the sense of like, the beats that he pick are very glitchy. Like they kind of have like bells like going off at like weird times. It's kind of mathy, like in that sense. But then the man is like singing or something in like some weird high pitched voices.
yeah, I know a bit of Cardi.
Like literally.
Cardenese.
But it's like a very specific style. So Mario Judah basically went and recreated Playboy Cardi's style for like 4 songs or something like that.
That's his EP,
And then-
right? I've heard that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like with like yeah and shit like that. Like, it's so fucking funny. But like the guy proceeded to go and like, he was just like, if you don't drop on this day, like, I'm gonna drop it for you. And then Playboy Cardi didn't drop, so he dropped the song. Right? And then he's like, okay, well, if you don't drop on this day, like, I'm gonna drop the whole fucking EP or record or whatever. And then he didn't drop, so he dropped it. It was like a fucking hilarious saga to witness. But yeah, that guy is like an internet legend.
Jeez.
Where
Yeah,
the
fun-
fuck is Mario
shit.
Judah?
Who the fuck is Mario Judah? Isn't that, I don't know, fuck, whatever. funny shit, really.
Oh my god.
I saw this one video of him where he's like standing on a car and he's singing I forget what his fucking song is called. Die Very Rough, like his breakout hit, right? And it's like all white dudes and they're just like screaming the N-word along with him.
What the fuck?
What?
No, okay, true.
I'll link it in the
That's funny.
description.
All right,
Wow.
all right.
That seems like a bad idea.
We will get like 30 views on this. It's fine. We'll have a laugh. Austin will have a laugh. It'll be fine.
What are some bands that are like? Are you listening to any music that isn't hip hop right now? Have you listened to any like new records lately?
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even listen to hip hop. I don't listen to anything. Like I literally go on Spotify for research related purposes.
Oh yeah.
It'll be like, oh, like I think this. I've heard a rumor off of the internet that this beat might sound like this guy because he uses X instruments. So then I'll go and I'll look up his stuff and I'll be like, oh, the dude almost exclusively uses claps, not snares. So then I'll go and I'll put a snare in or clap in or whatever, or just shit like that. Like, or I'll be like, oh, like I think I have an inkling of an idea in my head that this dude's music might sound like this, so I'm gonna listen to that. No, it does not sound anything like the piece of music that I've just written. Or I'll look around and go on Rap Caviar and just be like, just sound like this? Nope. Just sound like this? Nope. Like,
yeah.
And that's all I don't even like. But rock bands in general, no. What rock band has put out? I mean, you guys probably know more than I do. Like, what rock band has actually put out anything half interesting in the last year?
Okay, Billy Talent, 3 Days Grace, like,
fuck, unreal, dude.
Like there are very good records that come out
yearly for sure
every year, right? I mean, rock and otherwise. I mean, the thing is that rock is not the prevailing genre anymore, so you have to almost go searching more for them, and it becomes harder and harder to find them. And of course, there's just more music being produced than ever before, so it becomes harder and harder to stand above the fray and actually become noticed. So all of these are factors working against, I mean, not only rock, but really every band.
Yeah.
And so yeah. I mean, I have a question Crossy, do you have a question? I have one, but it's kind of like, not relevant.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to ask?
I was gonna just like beak off about myself, like about this topic. Like my relationship with music like has gotten super whack. Like I basically just speed run like about 10 albums and then I don't listen to music for like 2 weeks. That seems to be where I'm at right now.
Okay.
So like last
intermittent
week
fasting.
Yeah,
okay,
basically.
on,
like it's either one, I'm listening to music for like the purposes of this podcast, if like we're doing some sort of review.
Yeah, you're doing research, right? Yeah.
Then it's also research purposes. And then two, like last week, I'll just tell you like the last 5 albums I've listened to. So one of them was Anna Pest. Alex will know. It's like this death metal album we're going to review on the podcast at some point.
It's a great album.
So then after that, I listened to Michelangelo Badio, Tradition,
Unreal, dude.
Limp Bizkit, Results May Vary.
You guys listen to weird shit. Go on.
The 50 Cent 2009 mixtape, War Angel LP, and Lil Wayne, The Carter 2, which is actually pretty sick. I've never listened to it before. And new Every Time I Die single and 3 Days Grace, Life Starts Now. So it was a rough week overall, but there were some gems in there.
The new Every Time I Die songs are sick though.
They're nice.
Like, I mean, it's all formulaic music to me now, but it's just like I still love Every Time I Die.
I want to switch to Limp Bizkit real quick. I was actually super fond of their debut.
Classic.
It was pretty good, but after that, it gets pretty bad.
Man has riffs, dude.
Yeah, it went pretty hard.
Man has fucking riffs. You can't contest that. The riffs are wild on those records.
Yeah, Wes Borland, right?
Yeah, like honestly, if I could just get instrumental Limp Bizkit records, that would be all I listen to.
Well, I want Fred Durst a cappellas, man. Like I don't know what you're saying.
That's the real answer, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the non-relevant question?
Yeah. I didn't know what. To
the
talk
one
about,
I had.
so.
I'm trying to remember what it was now. What was I going to ask you? It was something about taste. Oh yeah. I was gonna like. Okay, this is something that I've had this rolling around in my head for a little while. Of like,
okay.
I mean, I think that kids, right? Like, inherently have bad taste. Right?
Okay, all right, go
I'm
on.
wondering what your thoughts are on this topic, right? Of like if I take you both back to the year 1757 right now, and I take you back to basically theory on how kind of
What are your
like,
top 5
is
sea
it-
shanties?
yeah, well, yeah, like is there a standard of taste, or is taste purely subjective, right? And I was reading this thing by David Hume recently, and he's saying that basically we all have the capacity to recognize what like true artistic beauty is, but some of us lack the delicacy of taste to feel it, and the way that we achieve the ability to actually recognize that that you would call it the like Catholic and universal beauty is through experience. It's through doing the thing over and over again. And so kids who determine the prevailing popularity of genres don't have that experience. And so by that very nature, what is popular is not going to be very good. And so that was where my mind was going as we were talking about that. Do you think that's crap, or do you think there's any validity to that idea?
There's a little bit of elements of both. I agree with you in a large way, but I feel like I feel more than ever that music is subjective, but I'm also acutely aware now that the grander scheme of people don't care about music in the way that you and I do.
Right.
They care about music from a very baseline level, and it's basically background noise to them. Like you have to think how it's weird to me to think about, but people like you have to think about how much you care about music, how much I care about music, what like I get kept up in bed at night about this shit. And like all I think about is music. Music's like the biggest deal to me. Like that dude who made it that dude who like is in a band that like tours the world, that person is the coolest fucking person in the world to me. And it's not like that for other people at all. So do I think that the music that's being made right now is timeless? Absolutely not. I think that there are certain people like Triple X Tentacion that if you actually listen to his music, that did just enough, that's just a little bit weird, that you could kind of call it like Nirvana-esque in artistic nature. Seriously.
Yeah.
Or like even Juice WRLD. Like even guys like Juice WRLD, that like these guys that have died, and you see all these publications talking about, oh, like these guys like meant as much to like the young generation as like Nirvana did. They actually did.
Yeah,
like,
they both made their impact. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. But do I think and I think those guys will have music that's timeless, but do I think like fucking Take Hey, The Race is gonna stay a relevant song? Or like do I think that like no. I think a lot of the time too that the chase of being a producer is so rewarding in a day-to-day sense that it can keep people interested in it long term. So does that make sense? Like, so if Internet Money are going and posting about how they're doing the new they're so happy that they did Lil Tecca's first album, and Lil Tecca's first album went like triple platinum and blah 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 blah, blah. And then like 3 years later they're over it and they're doing Lil Tecca #2 kind of thing, like Lil Tecca's second album with them or whatever, and they're like so excited about it. I think the day-to-day shit keeps them going long term. And they're always just like, oh, yo, what can we do next? What's the next best thing? What's the next best thing? And the novelty of the new thing keeps everybody going.
Yeah.
They can pump out content at a much faster pace.
Yeah. And because I think more and more we are getting into a world of instant gratification. And that's, I think, that's kind of the root of it all, really.
Yeah.
But do I agree that the instant gratification is the best way? Absolutely not. And that's of course why I agree with you. And that's why bands That's why bands with solid artistic nature are holding up like weirdly. Like Cross, you know that band Dwellings? Do you remember Dwellings?
Yeah, they had that one album in like 2018.
60,000 monthly listeners still.
Damn.
60,000. Every time I die, they sit comfortably at like 189, 200,000.
I think that stuff just has like more replay value, but
yeah, for sure.
And that's sort of like, it's sort of subjective but sort of objective at the same time for me to say that. Like,
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And I can't say that there's no rap out there that doesn't have that subjective quality or that subjective quality to it, because there is that music that's out there.
Oh, there's rap albums that you can tell have spent like a long time in the oven. Like,
oh yeah.
Lots of little details and all that stuff. Like, I don't think that's limited to one genre. Like,
but that music also doesn't come out every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's Freddie Gibbs being like, yo, we've been working on this for 2 years. Or like Kendrick Lamar being like, yo, every single bass line on this record was played by a fucking dude. Like, those music, that music is a different creative effort goes into that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. It's become like the influencer world, right? It's weird.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think that's interesting. I mean, I've thought that I've thought for a little while that people tend to equate the value with the amount of attention or the amount of units it sells or whatever, right? When it comes to this sort of stuff, and I almost think that you can more convincingly argue the inverse relationship, that what is more valuable artistically would likely sell less. Like, I think that's an easier case to make.
No, it's true.
Right? Because again, as I said, what appeals to more must inherently be lower on the level of the delicacy of taste scale. And that kind of runs counter to how we interpret success a lot of the time, right? Maybe exposes a kind of disconnect there between like the ability, as we were talking about at the start of this interview, to be fulfilled artistically and yet be successful as a business. And I'm not saying that happens all the time. Of course, there are situations where something that's very excellent artistically captures like popular imagination or whatever. But if you're going to make a general statement, it seems to be easier to make the case that actually music that's popular is generally bad.
Yeah, you are a great improviser. Like, you managed to connect like a point from the start of the episode to now, and we like do no prep for these. Like, it, you essentially put the podcast into essay form, and no, I respect that, seriously.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm listening. I'm very involved in what Josh is saying here. I think it's a really interesting topic.
I got taken for a roller coaster. Like, I had no idea about this shit, and like my opinion about everything has kind of changed. Like, records that previously we might have talked about that I was like, yo, I don't know about that one, I now listen to and just go, holy fuck.
Give me one that you changed your mind on.
Yo, like, Bring Me the Horizons shit has only gotten way better.
Oh.
Like, and the further you go on in their discography, the better it gets.
Oh,
like,
that's a spicy take.
From a production standpoint, from what they're doing with synths, from what they're doing with the fucking
you know what?
It's wild.
I will give them this. I will give them this. I listened to the new EP or album, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever. I actually haven't heard that one yet.
Oh, I thought that one was good. I thought it was good, and I'm a huge. I've never really liked that band that much, but that one did it for me a bit. And what else? I liked what's the one with like the geometry album cover? I fucking forget what it's called.
Oh, Sempiternal.
Sempiternal. Yeah. That one was good.
Oh. Yeah, it was good. It was okay.
But fair enough. Like, it's grown on you because of all the details.
That one was okay. It was all right. I thought that they, like, you're okay. In my opinion, you're either like inept in the world of like what's right and what's wrong, like from like a structure standpoint, a la like Protest the Hero Kazaya, and you're like super artistic and you
Yeah.
like don't give a fuck and like I don't know, whatever. Or you're so knowledgeable in pop structure that you're able to break the mold of what would typically be a pop structure and still have it land in the way that a pop song would.
So Bring Me the Horizon impressed you in that sense.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Okay,
because
true.
it's
That's fair.
as accessible as pop music while being extremely not what people might listen to on the radio.
Oh, fair
Whether
enough.
you guys like agree with that or not, but
No, I get where
that's
you're
just,
coming
like,
from.
yeah, for sure.
You know, it's just with them, it's sort of like I've never liked the taste of mushrooms, but a lot of people.
Oh
do.
yeah, no, and I know where you're going.
Because I've never like been a big like Linkin Park guy either, and that's sort of I find them
Yeah.
sort of stylistically similar, so it just never
Yeah,
really
but-
clicked with me.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what Kant would say about that, eh? In the Critique of Judgment, he expresses that exact point to bring up another old, obscure philosophical idea.
Yeah,
But
I was
the
gonna say,
idea
what if
that-
people just don't like certain things? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but the idea that he actually brings up what exactly you just said, that a taste in food, for example, is actually a very bad way to try and judge somebody's taste in something, because it is inherently tied to our physiology. So there is a kind of an element to our taste in, he uses the example of cotton candy or something like that. But
Yeah.
there's like we can't control our reactions in a way because it is part of our physical being. Whereas a taste in art actually is entirely within our control. It belongs to the like super sensible realm, right? So if you really want to get a picture of somebody's true kind of self, you have to learn about what they think about, you know, a painting or whatever, because it's not tied to your life in any way.
Yeah.
Food is tied to your you can't control your physical reactions necessarily, but you're in control of your super sensible self. So
I think a lot of that has to do with how interesting you are not interesting at you are like Alex, but like just in general, like how interesting you are as a person.
You had a chance to
Like-
compliment him there, man. Like you kind of blew it.
I did, but he knows that I find him an interesting person. But like
Oh, thank you.
interesting people, like generally speaking, have a bigger knowledge of culture in general,
Yeah.
right? At least in my opinion. But the reality is that people aren't interesting. Most people aren't interesting.
Oh
And-
shit!
Oh shit! and most people are okay with the status quo or just kind of flubbing along. And I don't know what it's like to be a normal human being, but like I just like I don't know. Like I think a lot of that has to do with you being willing to be culturally exposed.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, and you're not necessarily wrong. But I mean, again, what Kant would say on that is that there is a sensus communis, which means common sense, literally. But there is a standard which we can all access if we push ourselves to do it. So it's true that many people are uninteresting and people have or do not have the desire to better themselves. But we all of us have the potential to reach that. Again, going back to Hume, that standard. That standard, right? So it's actually kind
I
of
agree.
it is kind of an optimistic view
No,
of
totally.
things. It might be maybe unrealistic, but
No, I agree. But
So
we end up getting like the effort involved in getting to that point is extreme.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
and so like as much as I agree with you, because I do agree with you, and at least in my opinion, like true art is like challenges your intellect, like makes you think, kind of thing. It's just like I always think like of when you showed me the video of like the dude playing, like it was like the Japanese guy, and he was like playing back like a broken disc or something like that, and
Immersive?
recording that or something like that, and he's like, oh, like
yeah,
he's like, oh, and this is like a statement on like the digital era of music and shit like that. Like realistically speaking, that is like ear grating to listen to, but it is art, like creatively, like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like that's an interesting, like I agree, but
Yeah.
You don't like. I mean, I want to start like getting into the whole topic of like frequencies and like how certain frequencies like are actually pleasurable to listen to and pleasurable for the human ear to interact with things like a fucking disc scratching like that is like like from an intellectual perspective it's like interesting to think about, but like it's not fucking musically sound.
Well, it's almost
right?
meant to
Like,
have the opposite effect, right?
yeah, and I guess I now that I'm kind of thinking about this, but like, yeah, you guys ever see that movie August Rush?
No.
I have not actually. I've heard of it.
Okay, so it's an interesting. There's one scene in it that's really interesting where because the whole concept of it is Haley Joel Osment is a young like a prodigious fucking composer, and he's like naturally like super gifted at music, whatever. So he comes up out of New York and he starts to hear like the hustle and bustle of like the everyday, and he hears rhythms in it. Do you guys ever experience that?
Oh yeah, all the time.
All the time, right? Yeah. So like,
yeah.
I most people like
you're listening closely and just sort of picking up on everything that's going on in the background. It sort of paints a picture, right? Like,
people don't listen to the or even like think about like there's things about music like frequencies and things. I'm really off topic, but like frequencies that like are appealing to us biologically kind of thing that I don't think that like a disc playing like that, like as much as creatively speaking or intellectually speaking, that's like an interesting thing to think about and conceptualize. Like that's not going to be appealing musically to most people. Excuse me. Now I know why I brought up Haley Joel Osment, because the whole fucking idea behind that is what is music? Right. Is music a sequence of notes that I can play on a keyboard or on a sitar that's like quarter tones and shit like that? Or is it just
like any sound?
What is music? Right? And you can there's fucking, I'm sure there are like fucking tons of research papers that are like dedicated to like this philosophy and shit like that, right?
Oh, so, yeah, of course.
What is music? So I would almost make the argument that like a disc scratching like that wouldn't actually be music from at least one aisle of like mental thinking on that subject matter, right? So like like if we want to like, let's simplify it, right? Like a really dark chocolate band is, as they'd say, like Dillinger or like Swans or like Lingua Ignota, right? Like to get to that point, you yourself have to be so accustomed to hearing harsh frequencies coming out of someone's mouth that you're okay with internalizing that what they're trying to get across to you artistically. But at the end of the day, you're listening to frequencies that your body or like you biologically may not be a fan of initially, or right? Like So that I think would be one thing to at least think about.
So,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just to summarize, you guys like I kind of want to go back to Alex's point about the philosopher you were talking about.
Kant. Yeah.
Kant. Yeah. I was afraid I was going to say cunt or something, and you guys were going to laugh at me.
Kant, dude.
So he's basically saying if you try hard enough, if you acclimate yourself enough, you will like anything, or like at least appreciate anything. That's a better word.
I agree with that. With that.
Well, sorry, just to clarify, he's not saying you'll like everything if you try hard enough. What he's saying is that there is a common understanding that can pave the way towards enlightenment that we can all access, and when you eventually access that, you have the kind of you have the taste to most effectively judge, right? And so it's not like you're going to appreciate everything, but you'll have the capacity to determine more effectively what is worthwhile and what is not.
And Kant he believes that's all objective, essentially.
Well,
like I understand. Like he basically, he believes that anyone can fucking appreciate anything given prior knowledge about it. Like given prior, like basically being warmed up to
having experience with it. Yeah.
Which I was just about to say, it's like the concept of gateway bands. Like for those that listen to metal and like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people like talk about gateway bands. Like, I listened to Slipknot and then that got me into like fucking Parkway Drive, or like first I listened to fucking Killswitch Engage, and now I listen to Behemoth. Like that whole thing. Like, yeah, so that's just it.
Oh, the classic like Trivium Bullet for My Valentine like staircase, like, and then you're listening to like Abath and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily agree. Like the one I think fallacy with this line of thinking though is that I don't necessarily think pop music, which is generally speaking like a very accessible genre, is necessarily bad art. Like that's the thing. Like someone like just off the top of my head, but someone like Joji that like really cares about their art, right? And like how and the creation of it and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't call that bad art.
I don't think Kant is saying that either though.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, and I should probably clarify a little here. I mean, so if we're gonna go down this line of thinking just a little bit more, I mean, the way that you can, for him anyway, the way that you can access, kind of at least begin your journey towards accessing this common sense is by contemplating art disinterestedly. That's the biggest word for him, right? And so the idea that you can move from a sensory experience of pleasure by moving from the subjective toward the objective when you purge your experience of individual interested elements, right? So he makes an assumption that we are capable of doing that, and that might be an error which you could critique in kind of what he's thinking. And then that goes back to the example of the food, right? I mean.
Sorry. Can I just like ensure I understand?
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Yeah.
Yo, I'm just grabbing a drink while this is happening.
Yeah. Go for it.
Sorry.
Like he's saying that if you take sort of your gut reaction and your feelings, like sort of out of your initial experience, like to a piece of art or whatever, that will help you in your ascension to understanding it. Is that?
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
What he's really kind of saying is it's taking out. It is having the ability to remove your personal gratification out of the equation of the value of the art, right? I mean that kind of it's to the main idea that he's espousing, which is that like for art to kind of truly be a beautiful object, it has to reveal purposiveness without purpose, which is to say that you have to the object has to be comprehensible only if like it is capable of being understood only if we assume it was made by a purposive agent, even though the object has no purpose in and of itself. So true art doesn't actually espouse any purpose, yet it was made by an agent who knew what they were making. And so we respond to these objects with the free play of the mind, right? And this freedom, this experience of freedom that we experience through the aesthetic art connects the realms of the sensible, the material realm in which we exist, and the supersensible, the realm beyond our senses. And so in this way, art can function as the conduit between what you can experience sensorially and what is beyond the experience of your senses. And you can only kind of start riding on that escalator if you are able to contemplate art disinterestedly, because then you can see the purposiveness without the purpose of the artist. If that makes any sense, that's kind of the basic 101 of Kant's aesthetics.
It's very, very convoluted, but like I get it.
I understand. I just cannot regurgitate it. I've tried, but I do understand.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It's anyway, it's interesting, and I mean it's incredibly like you said, convoluted, and it's very dense, but I think it's an interesting idea, at least.
I agree with it to a lot of extents, I think. Yeah.
Well, we've pretty much we've deconstructed music, so like we don't have to review any albums anymore. Like I think.
Yeah, no, like, music's over, boys. We can go home. Pack it in.
Well,
but like I agree with it I agree with it completely. Actually, I believe that every single person has the capacity to understand art, any art that you put in front of them, but that is a tall order for people in general, because a lot of people don't have the ability to, not that they don't have the ability, but all the time they choose not to be willing to engage in anything similar to these things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the end all be all, is that like and it's so, this is so like annoying, but it's just like, you know, we can sit and argue that the music out right now is bad all day, because I agree with you, but it is what it is, and this is what people listen to. And if you want it, like, you guys ever heard what's it called? It's like Pop Music 101 or something by Marianas Trench. And it's
Yeah, I've not.
okay, so this is a song by Marianas Trench, and the whole song is literally breaking down, like, musically. Like, he's like, first we go to the first, then we go to the third, then we go to the fourth, or whatever the fuck the lyrics are. But he's literally breaking down how a pop song gets made as the song's going along.
Dude,
I've
listened to that band, like, huge guilty pleasure. I fucking love Marianas Trench.
Dude, their second album's so fucking good.
But yeah,
Holy shit.
they're smart cookies. Like, I've heard like the first three. Like, they I don't know, those boys know how to make a pop song. So like, I'm not surprised they did something like that. Yeah.
Yo, it's a math. Like, Chad Kroger's talked about it. It's a math. Fucking and then nowadays, right? Like that whole Internet Money group that I was talking about, that Taz Taylor kid. They're like, that Taz Taylor, like, is just this big. He's like the head of it all, if you will. And he talks about it. It's a fucking formula.
Yeah,
it is a formula.
I'll have to check that out. Actually, sounds interesting.
But being able to understand or appreciate or ascend, or whatever verb you want to use, to be able to appreciate other music, I feel like it would take a level of self-awareness and a level of intelligence where I feel like a lot of people don't possess both of those things. Honestly, myself included on a lot of counts, but yeah, like, it's tough. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a process of, it's self-regulation as much as anything, right? It's the kind of the desire to do it that one must possess. And I mean, quickly to address the point you brought up, Josh, about it's called Solo for Wounded CD, if anyone wants to go check it out, basically the gist of it is that Yasunao Tone takes a CD and he puts a whole bunch of stuff all over it, tape and he cracks it and breaks it, and then he plays it back. I mean, it's an incredibly unpleasant experience, right, to listen to. But to just reiterate one more time the point, I mean, if you can look at it as purposiveness without purpose, if you are able to purge your immediate reaction of this is incredibly unsettling, you can see what is going on behind the scenes, and
I agree.
Kind of enables you to appreciate the kind of intellectual problems that it's raising, right? And that reveals the kind of idea behind it, which might actually work against a little bit about what I was just saying. But that's anyway. I just that's the interest in it, right?
Totally. Like in principle, like I completely agree, right? And then the counter argument then is like, look, like we're not necessarily in, like, art doesn't sell, but we're like, if I'm whatever, like I'm in the music business, like I'm trying to be in the music business, and I'm like a musician and I'm recording whatever the fuck people want me to do, but at the end of the day, like I am trying to make this, like I'm trying to make money off this. So me breaking up a digital disc and playing it and being like, yo, like that cool, like artistically great, but this is a business, and it sucks, and like, oh my god, like what the fuck. And like, thank god kids like Triple X Tentacion can come around, put out a track with a hook, a verse, end of the track, and then all of a sudden changes the music industry, and now you don't have the same fucking song structures anymore. Thank fuck. But the reality of it is that most people like play a certain game, and you know, like,
you're trying to be in the right place at the right time with the right stuff.
You have to hustle. Like, you kind of have to like hustle. Like, okay, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? How can I help you? Like, So I don't know. Like I agree. Of course I agree. As an artist and as a musician, of course I agree. But is fucking Becky down the road gonna listen to Rolodex Narco? Like, probably not. So now we have to go find our 10,000 people or whatever number that we want that I was talking about in our band chat, that was basically like the whole concept of if you get 10,000 diehard fans to spend $100 on you, that's $100,000. And so you as a musician need to market yourself in a way that you can get however many fans that you like, that you need to actually spend enough money on you to finance the way that you want to live your life.
Yeah, and that's for a lot of creative people. That's the kind of anathema of the whole exercise, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now I gotta market, and now I gotta learn.
Well, people don't, right?
And people, yeah.
And people don't even try, and then their whole thing is like, oh, the art speaks for itself. Well, it doesn't anymore.
Well, because how
and
can it speak
it
for itself
sucks.
if no one can hear it, right? Like,
it fucking sucks. And this is like, Alex and I were arguing about this the other day across this is why this is so funny. But like, basically, like, we don't want to, like, Rolodex as a band, like we try to put off this image that like we don't care and like we don't necessarily. But then the whole counterintuitiveness to this is that the social media companies don't care about profiles that don't like basically get them traffic. So
you're
like,
not winning the algorithm. Like,
yeah, like they're not going to push you up. So like, if you want to look a certain way, that's one thing, but that's not going to push you up. And this is that one thing that I've learned in like my music marketing fucking course or whatever that I've looked at, like I've bought. But basically, like, the guy talks about, he's like, you can make it with any style of music you want, but he's like, the true path, like the one way to really easily do it and not have to fucking really struggle, is to make what's popular but then put your own spin on it. So like, if it's guitar related beats, like my shit sounds like 2010s post hardcore. I still tap. My guitar lead, like my guitar riffs and my fucking beats have tapping in them.
oh, bless.
Like, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, so like I go and I put my own spin on. I do pitch effects and weird fucking Rolodex type shit in my beats constantly.
Yeah,
I put
you're
out
just
a
doing
pack
it
of
on
drums.
a certain backdrop, like, but then you're doing whatever you want over it, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like the more unequivocally you are, the better chance you are at like having people latch onto you. And it's that whole like telling your story thing. Like, people want to like feel like they're hanging out with you. So fucking weird.
Yeah.
I would not be on social media if I didn't have to be.
There's a lot of people, and it's shocked me, like, they're almost like more into like what songs are about and like the people that are making them. Like, like for me, for the most part, like, I just don't fucking care about like who's making it.
I know
what their cat's name is, like who their
we
wife's
don't give a fuck.
boyfriend is, any of that stuff. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not into it, but a lot of people are. Like,
Yeah. It's and again, it's like, we can sit and bitch all day, and I will sit and bitch all day. Man, I don't want to. I have a fucking whiteboard here that has a list of ideas that if I can't think of anything to do for fucking TikTok, that I can make that I can make that day.
Fair. You should do
Fuck
you
that.
should do the Bus It challenge, man.
Dude, I don't even know what that is, yo.
It's-
I don't even go on me like and that's the thing. It's like this whole catch-22. It's like, instead of making music and making beats and mixing songs for guys, I need to be fucking marketing myself with dumb little fucking videos on TikTok. What? Like,
I
what
just
the
look at
fuck?
TikTok. It's so
No,
You,
man, it's honestly like, it's fucking terrible.
Here's a suggestion: you should do a TikTok about how fucking annoying it is to make TikToks.
yeah, that's a good one.
I've thought about that. But
It's negative. I don't know.
yo, it's like people people don't like negativity. I've learned that they okay. So to go
why I don't have
viral,
any
apparently you have to like prey on people's emotions. So you have to prey on like humor. You have to make them feel good, or you have to like make them sad. But like making them angry or you being angry, like, unless you're doing it in a funny manner, like it doesn't do things for people.
Yeah.
So, and I've always like, if I made a video like that, it's like shut up, boomer. Like,
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
what era are you from? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
The
They don't
kids
care
aren't gonna
anymore.
vibe with that.
Like, yeah.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Well, that's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Most of like
Man, I wish I could show you guys the shit that I've seen that kids on the internet do, like in especially like in this realm. Like, some of the bigger YouTubers that like talk about how they produce and things like that, they sell exclusive beats for $1,000. $1,000, okay?
Jeez.
Are they good?
So, oh yeah, like the dudes that are like the YouTubers that are actually
fair. Sorry,
have
go
made a
on.
name for no, yeah, totally. Some guys like just because like, oh yo, yeah, you sell exclusives for $1,000 or $2,500. Like of course, like. Some guys that have been producing for maybe like 3 months, like put up their first beats and like price them at $1,000.
Oh.
You have to imagine how bad those sound. Like FL stock drums, like maybe they fucking used FL keys or whatever. and
Oh,
it's
so
just like,
nobody's
yo,
buying
I bought
that.
FL
Okay.
Lite and like, and that's what people do because they don't care. Like I feel like the kids nowadays like don't have shame in terms of like what they'll post online. Because when we were growing up, like we were so scared. In my opinion, we were so scared of the internet and like the possibility, like the endless possibilities and what it could hold and blah 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 blah. But like
Yeah.
kids nowadays don't care.
And I don't know, we
And,
had
yeah.
less like sort of access. Like the internet wasn't as sophisticated, so we didn't have as many ways to make asses of ourselves, right? Like,
Totally.
yeah.
But the kids nowadays just don't care. Like they'll just post fucking whatever, and then they forget about it half an hour later. And it's ridiculous, man. I feel like my eyes are bugged from like looking at screens all day.
Put their
But, like-
beats up for $1,000. That's fucked. I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say like, and then like some even dumber kid will buy it because of the price tag. It means it must be good, but
I just
that
don't know.
wasn't
Like
true.
I don't know if they. I've heard some whack beats on YouTube
Yeah.
that have the sold tag on them, meaning that they've been sold exclusively. So and again, like guys don't care. Like they'll fucking rap on whatever if it gives them the vibe. And like I don't know. I definitely don't think it's a matter of the it's also like a testament to how rappers work because I work with a lot of rappers, if you will. I should say artists, but whatever.
Hip hop
That will have a set of lyrics that's basically a song for them. And they have a cadence in their head that it should go like this, and blah blah blah, and the beat should sound like this. It should have a piano and it should have a female vocal and it should be maybe at this tempo and blah 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 blah. And they will rifle through beats to try to find something that they like.
Yeah.
And so I've sat there with guys. Okay, this was a fucking wild experience. So I was working with a guy and I was recording him at his house.
All right.
And he goes and he's like, yo, and he's like, if you don't mind, like, I bought a beat off of a dude a few years back and like a lease off of a dude a few years back. And I want to go and I want to record this song over it. And I'm like, yeah, of course. He plays me the beat. And I'm like, man, I've fucking heard that before. So I go and I because people can, you can lease beats, right? Like, so
Yeah.
how it works is, yeah, just, I guess for those who don't know, you can go when you sell your beats online, you can have like a leasing option where you just got the opportunity to kind of, you just have that music, like you can use that music however you will, or you can buy it exclusively, wherein I take it off my store and no one can ever fucking touch it again. If you've bought a lease previously, you can still use it. Even though that guy bought it exclusively, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's
that's when
leasing
he
it
bought
doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's yours exclusively. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So this guy bought a lease.
Yeah.
And flash forward, I'm hearing this beat and I go, motherfucker, I've heard this beat somewhere. And I know that I can remember it now. Like I can think of the fucking dude whose song it was. So I go, yo, like Kevin, I think I've fucking heard this song before. Like I've heard this beat before. He's like, what? Really? Like, play it for me. So I go, I play him this track and he's like, yep. He's like, that's it. He's like, make me a new one. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, something really similar. He's like, I want a sample in the beginning. I want piano, like a really soft piano thing, and I want female vocals. Okay. I literally go the following week. We have another session. The night before, I make him that exact thing with those specifications. I make some somber fucking piano shit, have some fucking female vocal in the background, like, ha, ha, and like literally just fucking showed him the next day. And he's like, load it up. Let's do it. And he records to it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Never heard the fucking instrumental before.
Yeah. So it's like they write like, I don't want to call it a poem, like a set of lyrics, and like they have a vague idea of what the song might sound like, and then they just go.
Yeah,
with it.
yo, when you're listening to, I wanted to say this as well. about, because we were talking about like appreciation for music.
Yeah.
I watched a video, okay, where a guy talked about sicko mode, right? Like
Yeah.
Travis Scott, right?
Yeah.
And he starts talking about how Travis enunciates his words and how he delivers them. And he was like, the way that he delivers these lines, like, is chilling. Like, and I was sitting there listening to this guy, and I was like, I didn't hear that. You know, oh, I'm gonna put my exes all in a group or whatever. But this guy is sitting here, like this black man, if you will, so in tune with hip hop music that he's able to hear the emotion delivered behind Travis's voice.
Mhm.
And I just feel like as a white guy maybe that doesn't understand hip hop, maybe to the degree that some of these other guys do, like, or at least the emotion behind it, even the emotion behind I'm fucking your bitch in the back of my coupe kind of
Yeah.
thing, like when guys are able to sit there and like when I watch like an interview with like Fat Nick, and someone's like, yo, did you hear the new Future album? And Fat Nick goes, man's broken, I feel so bad. And I'm like, what the fuck? All Future rapped about was about popping pills and fucking bitches for 18 tracks. But my fundamental understanding of the delivery and the emotion behind what this guy does with his voice
Yeah.
is something that we're not used to.
Fair
And
enough.
so to these guys, and I think to the greater population as well, do you ever hear people go like, yo, the beat to that song was sick?
Sure.
I
yeah.
have a theory that people like basically differentiate between the lyrics being the song, if you will, and then the beat being the actual, it's just the beat. It's the beat to the song.
So there's a set of
Yeah.
people that just think it's like it's there to service like the lyrics in a way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to really think about it, right? All music, all instrumentals are like in popular music, I guess, is meant to serve the point of benefiting the instrumentals or benefiting the vocals, excuse me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd
Right?
I'd agree that a lot of people like see it that way. And
Yeah.
a lot of pop music is like that. You're right.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's I don't know.
So-
I feel like with Travis and I want to say Future, he's from the South, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff is like it's Southern hip hop, which like I think that guy in the video you're talking about, I've never seen it, but he's probably like he's super into all Southern hip hop, like those guys, and all like the cadence, the dialect, like the slang, all that shit, where maybe all of us here only listen to it sort of to different levels of casualness, so we don't really
Yeah.
fully take it
Well-
in lyrically and emotionally, right?
Like Cross, we've talked about this before. Like, you don't really care about lyrics either, do you?
They could be too like
Like-
they could be really bad and I don't like them, but like I've always sort of been more into
No.
delivery and like music arrangements and shit.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So music to us is very like visceral. Like we care about the sounds and how the sounds land and
How
like,
it makes me feel, like yeah.
yeah, like from the tonal aspects of it, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys, like, so when I was listening to this guy talk about how Travis was basically like performing and delivering the lines and the emotion behind the delivery, right?
Yeah.
It put a little bit of a different perspective. It put everything into a bit of a different perspective for me. Is you know, when you are listening to rock music nowadays, are the drums sampled? Because then now you can't hear the quote unquote emotion behind the drummer performing the part, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
And-
takes their performance out of it in a way.
And it put it into a different perspective. So now actually went back and I listened to Dirty Sprite 2, which was the album that earlier in this I was talking about that Fat Nick was talking about in this interview. And the way that Future is delivering those lines is fucking wild.
Mhm.
Like, just like in pain or something. And like I never, he's going on about like fucking your bitch in his Gucci flip-flops. Like, and you can hear, it's like you can hear in his voice that like something's not right or something's like not there. He's mad or something, like he's frustrated. Like, I never heard that before because I wasn't even aware that, like, I don't know.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
weird. I've learned a lot in the last
Yeah.
year, yo.
I could always sort of tell, like, with him and, like, what other names do I want to throw out there? Like, Young Thug, maybe. Like, there's sort of, like, an element of, like, vulnerability, but I couldn't pinpoint what that was or why, like, specifically.
Yeah.
Which a lot of these guys can do. Yeah.
Like, it's just about Molly. Like, and then Fat Nick sitting there in the interview, yeah, man's gone. Like, he's so down. He's so in his lean or whatever. Like, he doesn't even know what to do anymore. I'm like, bro, like, all he talked about was having more lean than everybody else. He's like, yo, like, I got all this syrup. Like you bragging about it. And then Fat Nick sitting there in an interview going, like, yeah, like, he's so upset. I'm like, holy shit. Clearly, maybe Fat Nick's an idiot. Sure. Like, I'm sure we can sit here and make that argument very decisively. But I from that interview and the way that conversation went, I was then very clearly under the impression that I am interpreting this music differently than I should be.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm going and meeting with these artists, rappers, whatever, and then being like, yo, what do you think of the lyrics? Bro, I wasn't listening.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to the flow and how you landed on X beat, like, I'm listening to it from a visceral perspective.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, like, didn't you hear the emotion of the lyrics? It's like, I don't fucking what? Like,
yeah, and to you, that's like, I don't know. Maybe this is just my opinion, but that's almost not your job. Like, your job is to make it sound good. But
yeah.
But to them, like, I don't know, they're interested in your input in that. So it's like
they are
the other side of the coin. It's shocking that you weren't really, like, queuing in on that.
Yeah. I think that even too, like, I'm when I work with these people, I get a lot of recognition for being a musician, and a lot of people want my opinion on these things. But as you can both fucking attest to, I am not a lyric person. I don't care about lyrics. I care, like, almost strictly about, like, how shit sounds. But, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to bring up one more, old philosophy guy. I mean, this is the classic distinction you're articulating here between the idea and the form, which are the two components, at least Hegel would say, in any art, right? You have your idea, which is the kind of the content of the art, and then you have the form, which is the configuration of the sensuous material that expresses the idea. And so you're more concerned with the form, than necessarily the idea that's informing it behind it. And I mean, the reason on a theoretical level, I think the reason that vocals are so foregrounded in popular music is because those are the clearest and easiest to decipher, least ambiguous expression of the idea behind the form. So it's that brings the message to people, that brings people into the idea of the song most clearly. So popular music, of course, is going to focus heavily on the voice, because that's the human element ultimately.
Yeah. Well, I mean the person's theoretically, like, speaking to you as well, right?
Like,
And again, like, I mean, let's be even more malicious, right? Like, what's like the topic of a lot of popular music, like, whether it's like love songs, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if you want to get into it, like, really popular music, right? Like, it preys upon, or not preys upon, but it basically, like, people connect with it, right? And if a lot of people are, as we're going back, like, to this whole conversation about just, like, people having the patience to even digest art correctly, really, if that's what we're discussing, like, most people fucking don't have any emotions behind, but most people don't have any emotional intellect past the topics that you're hearing on the radio.
yeah.
And that is my interpretation of it. Having known the people that I do that listen to that kind of music, I am under the impression that their emotional intellect is not any deeper than the lyrics that they're listening to and connecting with. Personally,
there's been some wild burns on this episode.
Malicious and, like, extremely negative and blah 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 blah. But, like,
No.
I
think you're picking up on something that Samuel Johnson, 1765, preface to Shakespeare. According to him, the genius of Shakespeare was that he didn't treat love as the universal agent, which all the other artists of his day did. Rather, he recognized he calls it sublunary nature, or in
Yeah.
other words, the kind of multiplicity of passions that can be expressed through art. And so you're not being malicious necessarily. This is a thought that's been around for hundreds of years, that
Yeah.
art tends to fall back on one idea all the time, and that is love every 2 seconds, right?
Yeah. I mean, but like even drug use, right? Like in popular rap and hip hop.
Yeah.
Like it's so commonplace.
Well, that's like
So-
two really base like instincts and habits that are like will broadly appeal to the most people lyrically.
Well, that's
right?
just it.
Yeah.
Right? And now we start to get into the topic of like Vince Staples once said. Like Vince Staples once talked about in an interview how like rock nowadays and how like classic rock people, basically what we were talking about earlier about art that had thought put into it. Even when you look at guys like Drake, so much thought went into those earlier projects. It's astounding. But those projects have quote unquote stood the test of time. And these guys are still around and still have longevity. Past dudes like Lil Pump even, and Lil Pump rode a wave hard. Real fucking hard. But his art wasn't there to stay. And you can have longevity in rap with having really artistic rap and finding your market, or you can pop off a wave and be gone in 6 months. Take your fucking pick.
And that's been
But
with
it's
like that's
only
not
the
even just to
true-
rap too. That's
it's-
with like everything.
Sorry?
That's not even like just rap exclusively. That's like music in general.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's just rap is so prominent because it's such a focal point right now.
Yeah, and there's so much of it.
So yeah. And like you look, right? Like fuck yeah, let's bring it back to rock, right? Like all these bands before fucking quarantine that were doing the whole pop punk thing. It's over, guys. You're not going anywhere. Like I can name you fucking 15 bands right now that all did the same thing that you're fucking doing and haven't gone anywhere because Blink already did it.
Yeah.
Like fucking
Jeez, man.
and
That's a
I'm-
shout out roast to like the entire like greater Toronto area, man. Like
Oh, I hate I changed. I hate rock, yo. Alex knows because like I'll talk about it like in Rolodex chats and stuff like that. Oh my god, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Oh, you're playing rock with the fucking Marshall. Ha ha ha. Grow up, bro. It's 2021. Fucking grab an Axe Effects. Fucking make some tone no one's ever fucking heard of. Let's go. Grow up.
so you're just
Like-
you're eviscerating the boomers right now, man.
Oh, I'm jaded. I think it's just pathetic. It's so pathetic
Well-
to see all these people just to know what goes on in art nowadays and to see what people still cling on to is wild.
I
Why?
personally like my favorite thing is to go to a dive bar and see like 4 like 55 plus dudes play blues chords like for about an hour.
dude.
That's my favorite
What?
thing.
No, dude, I'm talking about kids younger than us. Like
It's like children of boomers that have just like become their parents immediately kind
I'm
of deal.
talking about I'm even talking about like 19-year-old kids that copy John Mayer. Bro, we're in 2021.
That's just like the prototype for like the most punchable 19-year-old kid of all time. Like one that
and,
worships
like,
John
fucking-
Mayer.
I follow this dude on TikTok. He's a good guy. Like he
Oh.
seems like a good guy, but it's like, bro, like what are you doing different? What are you do I sit and believe that kids have to sit and like conscientiously like have an idea of what they're going to do and how they're going to approach it differently? I'm sorry, like we did, because Alex and I sat for hours talking about what we were going to do different, like in Rolodex, and like I sit and obsess about what I try and do differently all the time for Nomai, but to watch just. It's pathetic.
It
It's
lacks any
pathetic.
sort of like critical thinking or
It's just that it lacks creativity. Like why can fucking Buddy that's pulling up that is like, yo, I have a set of lyrics, I just need something that sounds like this. Why can that dude fucking put out more interesting music nowadays that uses more creative elements and changes up more shit than like A Day to Remember, even back in the fucking day or whatever. Enter Shikari, like let's keep going. Like Linkin Park, like whoever was doing something so fucking wildly different at the time that it blew them up. Like, why can these dudes fucking writing lyrics for fucking 20 minutes, putting out songs like in 24 hours? Why can they write more creative shit than 5 dudes with instruments?
I'll give
that
you
are
2
actual
reasons.
musicians?
I'll give you 2 reasons. All right. Reason
on.
1 is they aren't doing it. It's you or like other producers.
Yep.
So they're just writing a set of lyrics. It can be good. It can be bad. You're the one making it interesting, essentially. Reason 2, I think, is for those groups that you mentioned, like A Day to Remember, any rock band with guitars, bass, drums, vocals. Let's just go with that. Their stuff is restrictive in that they have to be able to perform it live, constantly and like perfectly. Whereas you can put whatever detail you want in a track, and if they perform live, they'll bump the instrumental, right? Or even just bump the real song, and they'll just like rap 1 line every 10 live or whatever.
Okay, I have a debate with that.
Sure, go for it.
I have a little bit of a debate with that because I own a Line 6 Helix.
Yeah.
And because I'm familiar with the digital world of guitar modeling. And again, let's go back. People don't care. People don't know. People can't tell that I'm not playing through a fucking 1960s Marshall.
Only other people that like play guitar can.
That and
even
what,
if that
and how niche of a group is that? We're like, we're in all those like guitar boomer like making fun of fucking people groups.
Yeah.
like we're in all those groups. We see those people. There are effects. You of all people know. Like you are like one of the most effects driven people more than me. Like, so with all of the abilities that we have nowadays in 2021 to alter the sounds of our guitar to make them do whatever the fuck that we want, or to make any sort of sound or any sort of sonic texture that we want, you're still choosing to play just with an overdrive?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong?
I'll tell you why,
bro. You're still only playing power. What is wrong with you? Like, you're only playing power chords? What's wrong with you? Like,
power chords are illegal in any of my music.
Oh my god, like, buddy, like, fucking, I don't know whether it's laziness or just people can't play or like.
Well, I mean, I think that is part of it. I actually think it is kind of an interesting like theoretical problem, and I mean, I think you're picking up on like the.
Sorry, I'll be right back. I really have to pee, but I do want to continue this conversation. Just go off. I'm recording still.
I just feel like even with like Line 6, like you can program this stuff.
Yeah, no,
right?
but I think what you're getting at, right, is that like you are sensing the ineffectuality of this music because you intuitively know, right, what is the function of art. I mean, a classical theorist like Plato would say the function of art is mimesis, which means an imitation of nature. Art is supposed to imitate nature. It's not supposed to imitate another imitation. And so music, like you're saying, that is simply relying on trying to copy another band, or you're just doing the same thing as because it's always been done. You're not actually authentically imitating your nature. You are now imitating another piece of art that is itself an imitation. So the meaning becomes eroded with each subsequent imitation, right? And you end up with something that's a hollow, empty shell that means nothing because. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, it becomes like playing a game of telephone with creativity, and like it eventually erodes to the point where it's like something that was once unique and creative to begin with, like isn't unique and creative anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that we're preaching to the fucking choir here. But that's just it. It's just like all these guys that are just like, oh, I really am a big fan of Knuckle Puck, or like I'm a really big fan of Meshuggah, or I'm a really big fan of, and then it gets worse. It doesn't even become like, oh, I'm a really big fan of Meshuggah. It's I'm a really big fan of Periphery, and then it's like, oh, I'm a really big fan of the band that was a really big fan of Periphery.
Right.
And it's like, where like, come on, like, get over it. Like,
We're
I
roasting
get it.
Gent
Like,
now.
yo, like, I'll roast everything, man. Get over it. Like, get over fucking. I get it. It's cool. It's creative, but that's what's so cool about dudes like fucking Breakents. If you guys know who that is.
I don't.
Breakents is doing shit where he's playing stuff on the guitar that is like glitching out and pitching up in weird ways, and he's singing, so it's not rap music. And then the drums come in with the fucking biggest 808 bass I think I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. That is so different.
So it's
than
just reckless
anything
as
I've
fuck.
heard. Yeah, and then we get into the
Respect.
conversation of music is dangerous. Rock music is dangerous, quote unquote, whatever. Right? Like, and then now we have, as Machine Gun Kelly has so famously ranted in that whatever interview that was, that you have a bunch of guys in Warped Tour get up on stage in like flip-flops. It's not meant to be comfortable. Like, you're meant to portray an image, you're meant to portray an ideal, you're meant to portray a. What happened to the days of fucking Norwegian black metal where fuck religion, we're gonna fucking kill this goat right here and burn its body in front of you all? Like, I'm not saying that is like, you know, ethically moral or whatever, but like,
It
it
evokes
was
something.
testing boundaries.
Yeah.
But now you're having what rock is nowadays, and you can't, like, no one can argue otherwise against this. Rock is a whole bunch of guys who are a big fan of a whole bunch of guys that were were fans of a whole bunch of guys that did something, and no one has ever.
It's always been that
No
way.
one has. Yeah, no one's developed off of it yet.
It
The
is-
last big development was 2000s, 2010s, in my opinion, metalcore.
What? Like,
I actually want to say that the last big development was pop punk, because pop punk decided to start using not power chords and started to blend post hardcore and pop punk a little bit more, but we're grasping at straws,
yeah, fair enough.
right? Like, I guess prog metal was kind of cool because then we started copying Devin Townsend and what Devin Townsend did with his clean sections. Like, you're just copying each other. And like, I get, we can sit and like, rappers are just copying each other. But more interesting rappers are coming out at a way more frequent rate than rock artists are. The last really good band that I've heard that really kind of blew up was Sleep Token. And
That's a band I gotta go
what's
listen
different
to.
about them, I can't tell you. The singer's voice is fucking unreal, and they use cool sounds, but and their music is structurally very artistic. And again, I have to reiterate, I love the dude's voice, but what are they doing differently?
Yeah.
Maybe I just hate distorted guitars now. I don't know.
But Josh, but like, don't you think that you aren't like taking your personal satisfaction like out of listening to Knuckle Puck? And if you did, then you could ascend to thinking that they're a good band.
Well, absolutely, right? Like, absolutely. Fuck. And you know, and that, like,
I'm just toying.
making music's hard. Making music is hard for people. It's not it wasn't easy for us. It's still not easy. Like, it is a hard thing to do, to actually like be so good at music that you're creating something that no one's ever heard before. That takes a
difficult.
lot of talent. Yeah. But come on, man.
You know what?
Like, don't be like, oh, I'm gonna change the world, and you're playing fucking Blink-182 power chord. Like, come on, man.
They're appealing to somebody, man, and it's one thing I've found. Like, a lot of people that like I've talked to over the years, it's like they're a fan of like one style of tunes specifically. Like, there isn't a lot of people that like a bunch of different stuff. So then, you know, it's I like rap, or I like only pop punk, or I like only like classic rock, like blues shit, or fucking like I only like prog. Like, it can go with like anything, really, right?
Yeah, totally.
But that's how you know someone doesn't have any taste. I mean, like, I don't think it's pretentious to say that. I mean, I think it's actually intellectually dishonest if anyone says, oh, you can't say that somebody doesn't have taste, or there's
believe
a
that.
reason we don't ask our 3-year-old cousins for recommendations, like because
No?
they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're not.
Right.
Well, and I agree. Yo,
Yeah.
I think about how little taste my ex had all the time. All the time.
Ooh.
How fucking atrocious it was. So it's just like
Yeah.
you're not gonna you like these people like yeah, of course like their taste or whatever, like it's not like I don't know.
Yeah.
You've just
People have
roasted
to
so
want-
many people this podcast. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
Whatever. Fuck.
I mean,
I
hey,
don't care. Yo, talk like fucking I'll say this out loud. Like I'll say this on my socials. I don't give a fuck. I hate rock. It's so dead. It's embarrassingly dead. And rappers nowadays are starting to. I work with this one guy, Smoothie Lou. I work with this one guy, Smoothie Lou. He's actually putting out like a project that's basically like a rock record.
All right.
Him and an artist, Dutch Rebs, have like basically worked on this for like months. And yeah, like so they're basically taking it now and making them their own because like it's just like y'all clearly weren't fucking doing anything with it. Y'all clearly weren't doing anything new with it. Y'all are
Smoothie Lou.
copying each other, sucking each other off, and playing 4-man fucking ponytail. I don't fucking know. Like I'm.
well, and I think that to go back to what we were saying before, like that is partly because rock has moved from being the purpose, right, to becoming the to becoming the purposiveness of what you're. If you are getting together and saying we're gonna be a band and make rock music, you've already lost because you're not now creating music and it happens to be rock music. You're creating music that is rock from the outset, and so you're already placing your cart before your horse.
It's music
You
for
can't-
self gratification.
Actually, yo, never mind. Okay, I have to take all this back. Okay, last band I heard that was really fucking cool was Black Midi.
Oh yeah.
That's a Black Midi. That's a fucking
you're
cool
great.
band. Yeah, Black Midi are a fucking cool band. But like that's
There are a lot of great bands out there. But
What
the
about
problem-
Rolodex Darko?
okay. Well, okay, I'm not gonna suck my own fucking dick. And,
No, but
I have
if
the most
all
creative
rock is
idea
back,
ever.
man, if it's all bad, then it wouldn't that.
Yo, okay, like I love my music. Like I love the music that I'm a part of and that I write. And like there, a lot of people I think don't like their own music, but like
Oh, I believe you, man.
I'm fully willing to admit that I like the shit that I write.
I'm just trying to cross-examine you here. That's all.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like I'm willing to be interrogated.
Well, I mean, the thing with Rolodex, even when we started it, we were like, we don't want to make this is not rock music. Like, we're not going to call it that, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was kind
Yeah,
of right?
when we actively were like, what are we going to do to not sound like anyone else? And we had to sit and think about it. It was like, well, naturally speaking, like the last batch of music that K&A wrote was just super effect heavy. And it's like, okay, well, I have this fucking $1,500 piece of equipment that can do theoretically whatever the hell I want it to.
Yeah.
Why can't we do wild shit with it? And it involved me sitting here in front of my computer programming sounds for hours. But Rolodex music is still some of the most creative music that I've been a part of, that I'm still like so extremely happy with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think every like I don't know.
Yeah, and
So-
that's like I was just sort of saying that as a joke before, but like I wouldn't consider Rolodex like a
my
quote
bad for taking
unquote.
you that seriously.
I wouldn't consider it like a quote unquote rock band. No, but that was like I don't know. That was important for the listeners and everyone to hear. Like that's
Yeah.
You like your music, and
If
that's
anyone's-
good. And I wouldn't consider it like rock music under like sort of the umbrella that you were talking about even prior to that, right?
Yeah.
yeah. We still have to release a song. I mean, that we have to do that first.
No, I know, but like, and this is something about Rolodex that's interesting to me, is that part of me, especially after all this time being in lockdown, there's a solid part of me, especially if we had been playing just like standard fare, that would have been like, yo, we can't put this out. It's dead. It's dead in the water. But Rolodex music to me, because we've put so much thought into it, because we've put so much like fucking thought into like what shit is going to sound like. We put so much care into that project that like I will sit on that music for another 4 years and be like, yeah, still timeless to me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like if I'm happy with the work that I'm putting out, like if I'm happy with the art that's on my beats, if I'm happy with the beats that I'm putting out, if I'm happy with the direction that I'm doing for myself, like at the end of the day, like I'm winning, I think. At least in this aspect of my life. So
Yeah.
No, respect, man.
Yeah.
I have one of the Rolodex demos in like the blood envelope. I was actually gonna try and blackmail you with it, like saying I was gonna leak it or something to get free beats. Like,
buddy,
would
it's
that
already
work?
been leaked. It's
Oh,
already
okay.
been leaked.
Shit.
You can go on the SoundCloud and listen to these fucking garbage ass demos that I made.
So that kind of
like,
fucked
what,
my
like 2
plans
years
up.
ago. That if I knew anything that I knew now wouldn't sound like that. Like, I want to get back into it so badly because I almost want to re-record it. Yo, can we re-record everything? I'm just gonna do it now. I'm making everybody re-record everything. It's decided.
I mean, yeah. I mean, once this lockdown ends, I mean, we can start like getting together again and practicing recording and
Brutal.
yeah, and
Right.
you know,
But yeah, like I don't know, you can listen to Rolodex like demos like on SoundCloud, but like,
but
woo. Yo, have you heard like the actual track though? Like,
No, I have only heard the demos.
yo, Salas, you're feisty. You haven't shown Crosby the fucking. Come on.
I did. When we
What?
were at Doors, I did play a sample. I haven't actually sent. I can send you
Played
the
him a
Oh,
sample.
yeah, I did hear it
Yeah.
in the car. That is true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like
Sure.
I'll send you the files if you want them. Like you can hear them. We're
Yeah.
gonna. When are we doing the video again in April?
I have no fucking idea. COVID keeps backing everything up. I'm not mad about it though because again, I'm not scared about Rolodex being. Again, Rolodex is a dangerous band.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that we're even thinking about it, and I'm like a couple of drinks deep, like I can't think of a band that is doing what Lizzo and like Cupcake are doing in metal.
Oh, fair. I always
Yeah.
thought it was Cup Cocky.
I can't. So Cupcake is a girl that has songs that's basically like, "Yo, I get this boy to fuck me," like,
Oh no, I
like,
know.
"Yo, my pussy," but yeah. But like, that's like Bob's not doing it like that vulgar or whatever, but like everything's like very metaphorical, blah 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 blah. Like, no one's doing what we're doing. No one's doing
Oh, for
rock
sure,
like
yeah.
this. So like, I'm not sitting here trying to like, but like, be whatever. But like, Alex and I sat and thought about this for hours and hours and hours and hours, and like planned out how methodical and what we were gonna look like and how everything was gonna be. And then we came across this singer that's so fucking weird. She's like iconic.
Bro, it's respect.
Like-
That was like one of my favorite live sets. Like, if not the
Yeah.
favorite, it was the one you guys did. Like, it was hype.
Like,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
so we're just.
yeah.
I don't know.
I can't wait to play. Like I am so like
I miss playing.
deprived of shows. Even just going to a show, like I.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think any of us are gonna take that for granted
Yeah.
anymore after this.
No, I'm actually gonna play so many shows when we come back. I'm gonna make you guys play so many shows.
No,
Oh,
like,
shit.
I want to book like 3 months of a tour. Like,
Oh no, for real though. Like you're like, oh ha ha ha. I'm like, no, can we go on tour for 3 months, please?
no, I'm dead serious. Like that.
Oh
Like,
no, yeah, like I'll live in the van. Like let's go. Like
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck
Well,
yeah.
and I've said before, like I do think the appetite is gonna be there. Like I think we're gonna have kind of a renaissance of all, not just music, you know, all kind of physical gatherings with other people. Like people are
surge,
so
yeah.
deprived. I think this has reinforced our need to see each other physically, right? Like the internet,
totally.
great, but it's not enough. And yeah, once this is all done, whenever, like, you know, 2022 probably, I think, yeah, we're gonna see, like, for the venues that make it through, they will see a huge amount of business.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah.
My
I'm hoping.
primary form of social interaction has been this podcast and watching Toronto Raptors games with my parents. That's like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
like play
do
Dota
music
every
and
night,
play
so-
video games. Yeah, like
Yeah.
You play any good games, Cross?
I play NBA 2K and it's the best and worst thing of ever, all time.
Yo, have you played Hitman yet?
I played Hitman 2, but I was pretty bad at
Oh,
that.
okay.
What have I
True.
played recently? I've been going through a lot of retro shit. I played through the original Dead Rising, which that game's fucking
No,
fun.
bro, the new Hitman. Have you played the new Hitman?
Oh no, I haven't. No.
Yo, you gotta.
All right.
Yo, they're so good. They're so good. They're a riot, dude. Like, you obviously know what the concept is, eh?
Yeah. I've played Hitman before.
So good, dude. Yeah, you should. Like, I recommend that. I just got Hitman 3. I'm very excited.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. So, what you been playing though?
Dead Rising 1 and NBA 2K.
Fuck.
You ever played Dead
I was
Rising?
just like, not really actually. Like, obviously I know about it, but
So basically, like, it's like Majora's Mask in that it's timed.
what?
And like
Okay.
you're a reporter and you're basically placed at the mall for 3 days and it's just infested with zombies and like sort of quests run, but everything's fucking timed. So it sort of has a speed run element to it. It starts off fucking hard because you level up, get more health, more inventory slots and everything, and you basically just pick up things in the mall, baseball bats, ladders, whack zombies with it and do quests. But if you die, you retain your level, but you have to start the game over again. So
Fuck. True.
it gets addicting. It's like super frustrating at the start, but then once you get a rhythm going, it's very fun.
True.
Yeah.
The one zombie game I actually want to play is that Dying Light.
Oh,
too
true.
down
That's
with
too
that.
spooky for me. I'm too much of a baby.
Yeah, I know. I ended up playing it to the point where you got to the night, and when you get to the night, basically like a whole bunch of like scary zombies come out
Yeah.
and like chase you and shit.
Chase you down.
Yeah, it's just those games that are just like stressful to play. You know, I'll never forget like one time I let you borrow Bloodborne.
Oh, I got
don't
just
know if you
pissed
remember
off
that.
when I tried to play Bloodborne.
Yeah, you were like, you said something. You were just like,
Fuck
"Yo,
this
man,
game."
like I don't play games to get stressed out. Like I play them to relax or something." And I was like, "That's fair. That is totally fucking fair."
Oh.
Like, fuck.
Well, it's more like I get mad if like I die and then I lose like all my progress. Like I'm okay with dying.
Yeah.
Like Dead Rising is more forgiving in that sense. But it's like if I lose sort of all of the movement I made, if it's like for nothing, I get super pissed. Like
No, yeah, I feel that. I just beat Jedi Fallen Order,
oh, that's
which
supposed
is
to be
like
good.
a little bit of a Dark Souls ripoff, but
Yeah.
it was challenging enough. It's hard. But
Yeah, we should do a video game podcast, Josh.
that would be pretty bad, dude. We could try. We could try. I don't know if it'd be good. I'm not that educated
Fair enough.
in the video games. We just like riff though, just
Yeah.
to talk about whatever.
You'd find an audience. There'd be someone out there.
Well, this
Yeah,
is just
nerds,
it. There's a
fucking nerds. Shut up, nerd.
There's a fucking market for everything, dude.
Yeah.
There's a market for everything, and that's what's so fucking whacked. You just have to market yourself, right?
Mm, yeah.
You have to find a way of getting your name out there. So
Yes. We should probably end it. It's been
I
like
know it's like 3
Yeah.
hours or something.
Yeah, we're hitting the 158 mark here.
all right. That's probably a good length.
All right.
It's all an interview
If
length.
you've
Just
listened
me
this
rambling.
far for like us rambling for 2 hours, like congratulations. Also, thank you.
To the end of this.
But you made it in the comments.
You made it, and that will be in the comments. Check out Nomai. Check out Rolodex Darko. Check out Joshy. Like, we'll put his address, his social security number in the description, so you can go
Yeah,
and personally check him out.